Hi everyone, my name is Kevin and today I am in Seattle, Washington in the South Lake Union neighborhood, and this is also the home to Amazon.com. What we're going to do today is we're going to look at the Amazon Fire line of tablets. At the low end I have the Fire, their mid-tier option is the Fire HD8, and then at the very high end I have the Fire HDX. What we're going to do is we're going to take a look at these and see what is the difference between all these different tablets. Once we do that, I'm going to show a close-up of what the hardware looks like, and then we'll jump in and we'll take a look at the software, and at the very end I'll let you know, is the Amazon Fire tablet worthwhile getting, or should you go with one of the other competitors like the iPad or a Samsung tablet? If you enjoy this content, please consider liking, and please subscribe if you want to see future content like this. So Amazon has been in the tablet market since 2011, and there are a lot of different players in the tablet market. So which one should you get? Well, at the very high end of the market, you have Apple, and they have 26% of the tablet market. So they're by far the leader in the space with their iPad. They have an iPad mini, they have the iPad Pro. Then in second place, you have Samsung with 15% of the market with their Tab series of tablets. Now Samsung, they have high-end versions of tablets, they also have low-end, they have mid-tier versions of their tablets, so they really cover the entire spectrum. Then at third place you have Amazon with 6% market share, which is a decent amount. Now Amazon historically has had both low-end versions with the Fire, they've had mid-tier versions and a high-end version. Unfortunately, recently Amazon no longer carries inventory of their HDX version, so what they seem to be doing is they're retrenching in the market and they're focusing more on the low end and also the middle end of the market. So let's take a look at what even the Amazon offering is. So at the very low end you have the Fire tablet. This comes in a 7-inch screen size, so you can see that here. The resolution is 1024 by 600, so it's not really the best. It is a lower end tablet. Then in the midline you have the HD series, and this comes in three different forms. So you have a 6-inch version, you have an 8-inch, and you have a 10-inch version. So here we can see this is the HD8 version. The screen resolution's a little better. It's 1280 by 800. Of course, as you go with the larger screen sizes, though, the pixels per inch are not as good as the lower ones, but the HD8 all has that same resolution. And then at the very high end, I have the 8.9-inch HDX. Here we could see that up close. And this one has a resolution of 2560 by 1600. So this is by far the best screen resolution that you'll get out of any of the Amazon tablets. When we look at price, though, the Amazon Fire tablet, this thing is incredible. This is about as cheap as you can get. Last time I checked, it was running for $40. The price jumps between $40 and $50 depending on what the promotion is that week. But this is extremely cheap. It's essentially the cost of filling up your car with gasoline. At the mid-level, you have the HD8, and this ranges all the way from $70 up to $230 depending on the screen size you get, but this is the midline. And then at the very high end, you have the HDX, and this is the most expensive Amazon tablet at about $400 if you're going to get the version with the least amount of space. Now, one thing you might be wondering is, well, heck, the Amazon Fire tablet is cheap. It is so inexpensive. How can Amazon possibly make this thing for so little money and sell it to you for only $40, $50? Well, the thing is, when you buy the device, Amazon is pretty much selling it to you at cost. It costs Amazon around $40 to make this. You could buy it for $40. And Amazon makes up money by selling you digital content. So if you buy music, if you buy movies, TV shows, books, audiobooks, if you have a Prime membership, those are all ways that Amazon is going to make money. Another way that Amazon makes money too is they have something called Amazon Offers. So here, if I take the device and what I'll do is I'll turn it on, you'll notice that there's an ad on the start screen. This is called Amazon Offers. Here you can see it up front, and they're selling here Kindle content. Here, if I turn on the HD8, you'll notice that there's another ad for Jurassic Park the game. What Amazon will do is they give you a $15 discount if you're willing to accept ads on your lock screen. Once you unlock your device, though, you no longer see any ads, so it's really only on the lock screen, which isn't that bad for a discount. So when you buy an Amazon tablet, you're getting something called Fire OS. Fire OS is a fork of Android. So here in my HDA, what you can see is it looks very similar to Android. You have some common controls. Here you could go back. Here you could go back to the home screen, or here if you tap there you can see what apps you have open. So the navigation's very similar to what you would get on Android. The one big difference though is you'll notice that a number of these different apps on here are not the typical apps you'd get on a Google device. So here the browser is the Silk browser instead of Android. You also have an Amazon email app. Here you have Amazon Docs. You have an Amazon Map app. So what Amazon has done is they forked Android and they really designed it around Amazon. So when you're using an Amazon Fire tablet, you're in the Amazon ecosystem. Another thing is by default you don't get the Playstore, so you can't install typical Android apps that you'd usually find on, say, a Samsung or a Pixel phone that you might use, or any other type of Android tablet. So when you jump into the Fire tablets, you have to question, is it worth getting Fire OS, or do you want a typical Android tablet? What you can do is there are ways you can install the Play Store on your tablet, so there are workarounds, but just something to keep in mind when you purchase a Fire tablet. Why don't we take a look and see what some of the main differences are between these different devices. On the low-end Fire, in terms of battery life, you get about 7 hours. If you go to the HD, you get about 8 to 10. With the HDX, you get the best battery life where you get about 12 hours. What I found is when you use it throughout the day, the battery tends to last long enough, and as long as you're charging it at night, you won't have to worry about it. But the more expensive the device, the more battery time you're getting. In terms of weight, they all have, comparable weights. The bigger the screen size you're getting, the heavier it's going to be. But I found that the weight's about comparable to what you expect from a typical tablet. In terms of the camera, this is one of the main differences. So here I have the Fire device up. You'll see there's a camera on the front. There's also a camera on the back. All the devices have these dual cameras. The Fire and the Fire HD cameras, though, are not that good. Camera is 2 megapixels, the front camera is 0.3 megapixels. So really the front camera is going to give you pretty poor quality. It's good enough for, say, a video session if you're going to, say, use Skype and chat with someone. The HDX, though, has by far the best camera of the bunch. It's still not great, but it's pretty good. The HDX will give you 8 megapixels on the back and then 1.2 megapixels on the front. So you're getting decent pictures. One of the nice things, Amazon does allow you to save all the photos that you take on the tablet to the cloud, and you get unlimited storage space. All the devices at a very minimum start at 8 gigabytes, go all the way up to 16 to 32, all the way up to 64 on the HDX. So you can get a lot of built-in memory. What you can also do, all of the tablets come with expandable storage. So here on the side of the device, you'll see I can put a micro SD card in there, and I can increase these all the way up to 200 gigabytes if I want to do that. So really, storage space is not a big consideration because you're able to upgrade it as much as you need to. So I also have this spec sheet that shows you comparisons between all the devices. You could feel free to pause the video here if you want to do a feature-by-feature breakdown, but I'm going to move on because we don't need to look at all the technical mumbo-jumbo of these devices. Okay, what we're going to do now is let's take a look at the hardware of these devices. So first thing is I have so here's the Fire. This is the lower end version. In terms of some of the hardware here, you'll notice the device is pretty slim. You do have plastic on the back, but even though this thing only costs about $40 to $50, it still feels pretty solid. You have a camera up on the front. This is kind of the low quality 0.3 megapixel camera. On the rear of the camera here you have the 2 megapixel camera on the back. You'll notice that there's one speaker. You only get mono sound, so you're not going to get stereo sound on this. And then just a few other things. You have your power button on the top. You have volume controls, headphone jack, and also a microphone. And then you have your charging, the micro USB here that you could plug in. And like I said before, you also have this expandable slot where you could put additional memory into your device. You could hold it both vertically and horizontally. So that's a quick overview of the Fire. Here's the HD8. It feels a little higher end. You can see it's a little bit slimmer than the Fire. Here you can see the two devices side by side, but it's a little bit thinner. The screen feels, kind of the device itself looks very nice. You have your front camera on the top. On the back, you also have a camera. If we look at the top of the device, here you have your volume controls right here. You have your headphone jack right in that spot. You also have a microphone, micro USB. You have your power button. And then here you also have expandable storage on the side, which I can open up. And here you can put a micro SD card into the side. And if we look at the rear or the side of the device, what you'll notice is you have two sets of speakers. So you're going to get stereo sound on the HD8, which is an upgrade over the Fire. And now if we go over and look at the Fire HDX, I'm going to turn on the screen here. What you'll notice is you have a camera here on the front as well. Here you have dual microphones on the top of the device right there. Here you have your charging port right there on the side. If I look at the back, you have your camera. You also have a flash that goes along with the camera that the other two devices don't have. Here you have two sets of speakers on the top, so you're going to get stereo sound. Here you have your volume controls, and then you also have your power button. They're kind of nice. They're kind of smooth in with the device. This one kind of feels the most solid out of all the devices. What's nice too is you have a little bit more of a bezel on the side, so when you're say reading books, it's kind of more comfortable to hold this. Really, in terms of the hardware, the HDX, kind of the higher end device, has the nicest hardware that you can get. Now what we're going to do is let's take a look at the device and see what some of the software functionality looks like. Here's the HD8. Once again, you have the offers on the main screen. What I'll do is I'll just get rid of the offer here, and here I'm on the home screen of the HD8. And so it's very similar to kind of typical Android devices. Here you have the capability. So if I jump into, let's say I open up the Silk browser. So here I'm in the Silk browser. If I tap on the back button, I could return to the previous page. What I could also do is if I tap here, I'm able to go home. So very similar to Android. Here, if I tap, I could go through all my open apps, and you could also close apps by swiping away. So in terms of basic navigation, very similar to what you get on Android. Here, what you do on the tablet as well, if I swipe to the left from the home screen, I get all my recent apps that I've had open or recent content. I could also scroll through and see my books, my video, game, there's a shop. I could go to different apps, music, audiobooks, and so on and so forth. So you really just kind of scroll through the content. The Fire navigation is kind of very similar. So here on the Fire HDX, because the screen resolution is nicer, here I could see all my different tabs just directly from the home screen. One of the other things that's nice about the Amazon tablet is you also have access to Alexa. Here on the device, what was the Super Bowl score?
On February 5th in the Super Bowl, the Falcons lost to the Patriots, 34-28 in overtime.
All you have to do is press and hold on the center home button, and that'll activate Alexa. Originally, the Amazon Fire tablets were known as the Kindle Fire tablet because they have a fantastic reading experience. Here I'm in one of the books that I have open, so here I could flip through the pages. If I tap, what I could do is I could flip forward, and if I want to, let's say I want to flip forward or flip back through this page, I could go back to where I was. So here I could flip back. You could also adjust the font size. I could adjust the color. So it's really just a good reading experience on the Fire tablet. Another thing that I like about the Amazon Fire tablets is if you need help. What I could do is here I'm back on the main screen. They have this feature called Mayday. If I tap on there, I could get live video help where I could just connect and I could ask a question. And then I'll have a live representative come on and help me. So I'm not going to do that right now, but it's nice when you're using a device and let's say you have trouble, you're not sure how to use something, you can get a live assistant to come on and help you. One of the other things that Amazon has done is, especially with Apple devices and other types of devices, you could purchase games, but the problem is you have to, a lot of times they'll have in-game purchases. Amazon's come out with something called Underground where the games are completely free. And if I click on See More, this is just a collection of games that are entirely free. You could get in-game upgrades and all that type of thing, but you will not have to pay anything for them. That's something big that Amazon's been pushing, that hey, we do have completely free game content. So here when I'm going through, if you sign up for a Prime membership, you get to check out at least one free book every single month. You get access to Amazon Underground. They also have free music streaming. You could get access to Amazon Prime Video. If you're already a Prime member and you get an Amazon Fire tablet, you simply get access to all these benefits you already get with your Prime membership. One thing that Amazon tablets also have, and you can find this on a lot of iOS or Android devices today, here I am on the home screen. What I could do is if I swipe down, I get access to my settings. They have something called Blue Shade, and this makes the device a little easier on your eyes at night, so you don't strain your eyes as much as you're getting ready to go to bed. Okay, so now that we've looked at the hardware, we've looked at the software, the big question is, should you get an Amazon Fire tablet? And if so, which one should you get? Well, on the high end, you have the HDX, and that's no longer available, so that's not really an option. Really what you're left with is you could get the Fire or you could get the Fire HD. Now, for only $40 to $80 for these different devices, it's pretty cheap, so it's hard to go wrong. If you're on the fence about whether you should buy one of these, it's not really that much money. If you end up breaking it, if you end up losing it, it doesn't really matter that much. The one thing to keep in mind, though, is when you get a Fire device, you're buying into the Amazon ecosystem. So any of the apps that you're going to get have to work with Fire OS. That's something to keep in mind. If you have a Prime membership, the Amazon Fire device is a great way to take advantage of it, whether you want to watch TV shows, whether you want to watch movies, whether you want to listen to music. It's a good device to have. Me personally, I prefer a higher end device that's a little more responsive, a little more performant. I'd probably get the iPad Pro if I had to choose a tablet today. But you can't really go wrong with the Fire tablet. It's really a good option. If you enjoyed this content, please consider liking. If you want to see future content like this, please consider subscribing. That way you'll get a notification anytime content like this comes out. And if you have any comments, if you have any questions, feel free to post down there in the comments. All right, I'll see you next time.